Hello everyone, my name is Shark and welcome back to another S.H.MonsterArts review. It has been a while since I've done another S.H.MonsterArts review, but that is because I have not been able to get many of them actually. But today we're going to be taking a look at the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire SHIMO. Probably one of the most disappointing releases, at least by the consensus of people. And you may be wondering, why did I get it? I have no idea. I actually have no idea why I got this figure. But at the same time, we're not going to do it today, but we're going to do it probably the next day. I also got the Hiya Toys SHIMO. Thank you GameStop for actually having it in stock, surprisingly. Before like Big Bad Toy Store and everything. So without further ado, let's take this giant girl out and see how she looks, because this box is gigantic. Alright, so here we have SHIMO and all of her beauty. And I'm not gonna lie. This figure actually looks better than the promo pictures. The promo pictures did not do her justice whatsoever. The pearlescent look, I knew that it was going to be there, and it was going to be like the most prominent thing ever. But at the same time, it looks pretty decent. It doesn't look terrible. It does have a nice kind of like blue hue to it in some areas. It does have it on the tail too, which is surprising. They often skip painting the tails for these S.H.MonsterArts figures. And I don't know what it is. I can just spin her on my table. This is like, she can like slide throughout. Like, look at this. You can slide her. That's so funny. That's probably because of the pearlescent paint on the bottom. I will tell you that the translucent spines do look really nice. I think I actually really do like it. It actually feels somewhat soft plastic, but not exactly. It feels soft enough for them to not snap. Like, some of them are softer than others. And I like that. I think that's actually a good way of doing it. The tail spikes actually look pretty decent too. They're not bad whatsoever. And honestly, I think the camera is capturing it pretty well this time around. Usually it doesn't do that, which is interesting. But I like it. It actually doesn't look that bad. Now, granted, there are a couple of issues. Mine did come chipped out in some areas. Like, for example, right here on the paint, you can see some of the chipping, probably from just moving and everything. There's some paint chips right here on the torso, a little bit on the tail here and there. But it's not the most worrisome thing, to say the least. The face paint actually looks pretty decent. You do have the nice blue hue on the actual figure, which is beautiful. I like it. It's very nicely done. Yeah, I think they did a decent job with SHIMO. Granted, it is not accurate to the actual movie and how she looked. But yeah, it looks pretty decent nonetheless. So, in terms of scale, let me just grab my ruler real quick. So, she's actually pretty decently long. The way that she's posed up right now, she is about 15 inches all the way to the end of her tail. In terms of height, all the way to the top of the spike is 6.5 inches. In terms of the comparison to other figures, here's how she compares to Godzilla Evolved. Honestly, not a bad size comparison. Although she is not standing fully erect, so yeah. And then Godzilla just has a wonky tail as well. Let me just fix that real quick. So yeah, here's how she compares with Godzilla. And then here's how she compares with Kong. Kong definitely being slightly underscaled. And we already knew this. He's always been underscaled because they, for some reason, couldn't get the scale right. He's just short in general. And then, last but not least, here is the Scar King. Definitely a much bigger figure than Kong. So, yeah, again, Kong is probably one of the worst ones out of here. Scar King was actually not that bad. He was definitely overpriced, but is the only Scar King that is going to be out for the next, like, 2 years. Because Hiya did tease their Scar King at Comic-Con this year, but there is no information whatsoever. But yeah. No, I like the way that she looks. It's not perfect, but it's nice. Now, let's move on to the articulation, because there are a couple of things that I do dislike about this figure. The first one is how bottom heavy she is. So if you try to put her up, a lot of times if you the slightest movement, this is all just going to go down. So a lot of times you might have to just pose her up with the legs fully erect and everything for her to actually like support herself, which is not the biggest deal, but again, it's a super heavy figure and it's going to just wear down the joint as time goes, which is unfortunate. So it's like super loose on the back here. For the neck itself, it actually moves decently enough. You can rotate it, you can look down pretty well actually, and you can look up pretty good. The mouth does open, but not much. It's actually like the most disappointing thing here. The tongue is movable or poseable too, but the mouth doesn't close and it doesn't open wide, so that is unfortunate. But yeah, it has a decent neck articulation. It does have the gap over here, of course, but hey, that's fine. For the arms, she does have a pretty good split for the arms going forward, or going to the sides. Going forward is actually pretty decent, although it's not going to be fully straight, as the sculpting is not going to allow her to do that. She does have kind of like sleeves in there, which is not bad. The torso is an interesting one, to say the least. This back piece is supposed to move. Again, this is the first time I'm using her, so do bear with me. This is supposed to kind of like slide in and out to allow you for a little bit of better movement to get her completely straight. Crunching forward, actually pretty decent. Like, she can actually crunch up pretty well. And then for the arms, you do have kind of like these elbow joints that are not necessarily that great, but they work. You do have swivels on there, and pretty much everywhere there's like swivels almost in everywhere. This figure, like every joint that this figure has a swivel to some extent. The feet are not jointed, or the toes are not jointed, which is unfortunate because they could have definitely done that, made it a lot better. Surprisingly, the Haya actually did that. For the hind legs, you can split them as well if you wanted to. And then kicking forward, not too much if you don't want to like scratch anything. And kicking backwards, also not too much without scratching. The knee joint actually works decently, and you can actually get her standing pretty straight with the back out if you actually maneuver and get the paint out so it doesn't like stick to itself. But she actually can stand pretty well, which I like. It's actually really decent. Like the full-on four-legged, actually it looks pretty good. The tail is your typical S.H.MonsterArts tail, although there are a couple of limitations, but there is pretty good range of movement. The top here will pop out if you force it. Mine was already popped off when it came out of the box, and just the slightest movement could pop it out. So it works though. It can curl up pretty well and curl down pretty well too, actually. Now this is something I really like about S.H.MonsterArts. The tails do work pretty decently half the time, or most of the time. And of course, there's the pop out joint. I was wondering when that was going to happen. There you go. Just pop it back in. These are not supposed to be movable for her in the movie, but you can move them slightly here. These don't move that much. There's not a lot of range for them to move. The pegs are super inside of the actual tail, that they're not really the most poseable things, but you can get them to move slightly. The ones over here, the other set right here, actually do move decently enough. Like they actually flop around more than the ones over here. So I like that. But again, yeah, no, this figure looks great in my opinion. It's definitely not $240 great, for sure. This is definitely like a at most $180 figure, but because of prices and everything and all that sort of stuff, we are definitely not going to get anything under the $240 mark, unfortunately. So yeah. Accessories. This figure does not come with any accessories besides the Kong head sculpt, the teeth greeting head sculpt. That actually doesn't look pretty bad. And it does have the quote-unquote silver tooth, although that is like a bronze tooth. So Yeah. No, I like this figure, so overall, I'm going to go into my final thoughts right here. I like it, but it's not that good. I preferably like it myself, but as an objective figure, it does have its issues. The pearlescent look does look really nice. I like the translucent spikes as well on the back and pretty much everywhere else. I think the paint job is actually pretty good. So as an overall score, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Again, the only reason I'm bringing down the points is because the paint does chip pretty easily. Even while moving it around, I did see that a couple of sections did have a couple of paint chips here and there, which is unfortunate. And also, the pricing. Although I do expect this figure to go down on sale pretty often, like any other previous S.H.MonsterArts. And you could probably find it under 200 in some areas as well. But if you were to get a SHIMO, this is not a bad option. Although, there is the Haya, which we will take a look at in the next video. But besides that, that's everything I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about this figure. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I myself do like it, but I do see its flaws. It's not perfect, but it's a good figure. Definitely better than what I initially thought. But besides that, I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.